in this unit, we will talk about the class Crinoidea of phylum Echinodermata, which contains exquisitely unique organisms, just like feather stars and sea lilies. Now, this class has very distinct differences as compared to the other classes of Echinodermata, but most of the things are common, just like other classes, including five-sided adult symmetry, mean pentasymmetrical adult organisms, as well as bilaterally symmetrical larvae in the individuals of this class. Then they also have water vascular system, just like the other classes of phylum Echinodermata. And then they also have this calcareous endoskeleton consisting of individual plates or ossicles, which makes them a spiny body inside these organisms. As you can see here, feather star, this is the typical structure of feather star. It looks very charming and attractive. They differ from the other classes by the unique characteristics is that they are attached on a surface, on a stone, on a rock for the most part of their life. While other classes members of phylum Echinodermata, they normally do not spend a sedentary life. They normally move from one place to the others, except Crinoideas. So the member of Crinoidea, they like to stick to the rocks on the bottom of the oceans, and they like to stay there for the most part of their lives. Now, most of the crinoids, they are deep water forms, but some of the species, some of the individual, just like feather stars, they could also inhabit shallow waters. Now, when we talk about the nervous system, they don't have very well developed nervous system, just like the other classes of phylum Echinodermata. They have an oral ring and then radial nerves which runs through each of the five arms or the different arms it contains. When we talk about the sense organs, they are primitive. They are scanty and primitive. They are not very well developed. And when we talk about the internal skeleton made up of calcium carbonate, which is also called as test, these internal structure of crinoids makes the thousands of extinct species, which are important fauna of Paleozoic era when we talk about the fossils. So many of the organisms of this class, they are extinct now. When we talk about the circulation and gases exchanges, and also the exchanges of nutrients as well as the excretion products, they are similar to other echinoderms. Mean water vascular system helps them in the completion of these functions. However, some distinct features of crinoids are that they can outstretch their arms and they can attach different organisms, and then they can take them to their mouth, and they can retract those arms and bend them into their mouth, and they can feed them. So the tube foot traps any of the planktonic organisms which touches it, and then the cilia which are present on the ambulacral groove, they can carry those plankton to the mouth of Crinoidea organisms. Now, all of the crinoids, they are passive suspension feeders. When they are not attached to a surface, or even when they are attached to a surface, or even they are floating, they don't produce their own current. They depend on the current of the tides, and food, they let the food come to them through the tide in order to feed themselves. When we talk about the extant crinoids, their food gathering apparatus it functions just like when we see here the arms of the feather-like arm they have, they radiates from the central body, and they open ambulacral grooves, and these finger-like podias or tube feet, they extend out of the body, and when any of the organism touches them, they hold them and they take it to into their mouth, and thus they have different kind of feeding. When we talk about the feeding habit of crinoids, they are passive suspension feeders, which means that they don't produce any respiratory current, but they rely on the ambient water movement. So water movement brings the food or different planktons to them, and these with the help of these food gathering apparatus, they bring that to their mouth, and this helps them in their feeding. Those tube feet and finger-like podia that help them in the capture of the prey and bring them to their mouth so that they can feed. So they are actually passive suspension feeders.